Hey everybody, Nate Carter here with today's Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. And I had just a wonderful time this morning in the book of Matthew, chapter 14, and love to share that with you today. Matthew 14, interestingly, is exactly halfway through the book of Matthew. I'm not sure that means chronologically halfway through Jesus's ministry, but there's 28 chapters in Matthew, and we're in chapter 14, and you get this sense in chapter 14 that Jesus's ministry is heating up, and alongside that, Jesus's fame is quickly heating up as well. He's becoming famous, and huge crowds of people are following him. The first thing that happens, or one of the first things in Matthew 14, is the feeding of the 5,000. Okay, so this is 5,000 men, in addition to the women and children. So like tens of thousands of people have followed Jesus out into the countryside to hear him preach. I mean, this dude is famous, and they're hanging on every word, and they're grasping after him, and they're asking him to heal them, and they're just kind of getting all over Jesus to get everything that they possibly can from him. At the end of the book there, Jesus and his disciples are crossing the lake into Gennesaret, and immediately it says in verse 35, when the people recognized Jesus, the news of his arrival spread quickly throughout the whole area, and soon people were bringing all their sick to be healed. So you just get this idea that Jesus is mobbed wherever he goes. Now, I can't help but think of this other church that the pastors and I are learning about right now, where the leader of that church also quickly reached a point of fame. And it's so interesting to notice what those two different leaders, how they handled their fame. This one leader that we're studying, let it immediately go to his head, and kind of just thought of himself as the most important thing to Christianity, and the direct spokesman from God. Whereas, of course, the only person who really is that is Jesus. And the way Jesus responded to his fame was to do this. Verse 22. Immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back in the boat and cross to the other side of the lake, while he sent the people home. So first of all, he sends his disciples away. He says, we got to get away right now. And then, even more poignantly, in verse 23, after sending them home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. So Jesus is in the thick of it, and he certainly could have just ridden that fame train as far as he wanted to go because people were eating it up. But instead, he knew that what his soul needed was to get alone with the Father, to let God recharge him, to connect again and to pray, to get his instructions from his Father, to recenter himself. Now, all of this happens in the midst of tragedy, because earlier on in the chapter, we find that Jesus' dear friend and actually second cousin, John the Baptist, has been brutally murdered. And this is the man that baptized Jesus. And if you remember the person that baptized you, or you have this special spiritual relationship with, you know how important that person is. And so Jesus is in deep grief. And so immediately after that happens, he's sucked right back into ministry, and he's feeding the 5,000, and he's doing miracles. And he knows that the first thing he's got to do when he gets a chance is to get away and recharge with the Father. I love that Jesus is willing to take time to be with the people, to heal them, to teach them, but he knows that he needs to get away and connect with the Father before he can continue on in ministry. This really stands out to me, and I want this to be an important corrective to all of us, that when we find ourselves kind of living the high life or having success after success, that the place we need to be is at the feet of the Father. If Jesus, the Son of God, needed it, so do we. That we need to retreat and make it part of our regular routine to get away with the Lord and to see what he has to say to us, to be quiet before him. Most importantly, I think, to humble ourselves and put ourselves at his will, at his beck and call, and ask for his direction and leading for what's next, so that he can continue to use us. Let's use Jesus as our model to spend our time regularly going back to the Father's feet and hearing from him. I hope that's an encouragement to you today. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.